So what I have to do is implement the quote you said not too long ago, which is, what was the quote you said? Something about like knowing their place. What was it? Yeah, brother, what was it? Do you remember it?
You can accept people for who they are, but you need to place them where they belong.
Yes. So how do I mitigate that, or how do I manage those expectations? I accept those closest to me for who they are, but I place them where they belong.
Okay, so let's say we drop those expectations, and then let's say this podcast gets popping, it starts popping off. Do you feel like those people are allowed to celebrate with you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If they didn't support you?
Yeah. Now, are they going to be celebrating in the penthouse with me while we popping bottles and shit?
Word.
Probably not. But like, yeah, bro, if they want to start commenting, supporting at that point, hell yeah, I love it. But that's where, again, they know their place now, right? What was the quote?
Accept them for who they are, but place them where they belong.
Right, so I accept them for who they are, but they're placed where they belong.
I didn't even understand my own quote.
Isn't that crazy? Sometimes it takes hearing a quote 1,000 times before you truly understand the depths of it.
I swear, bro, people just want to wait until you're at the fucking top. They don't want to support you while you're going through it, and then they ask you how you did it when you're up there.
You want to know why? The fear of failure by proxy. They're afraid to support somebody who's going to fail, and then they think they look like a fool because they failed in supporting somebody who didn't succeed. It's the same fear of failure. Because guess what? Most people, when they follow these celebrities and they worship these strangers, they do it because they're vicariously living the successes they wish they could impose on their lives through them. So if they're going to put their support and the same effort and energy vicariously through you, the likelihood of you failing seems higher because what? You're seen least as a prophet because you're closest to the home. It's easier to dismiss that failure vicarious or by proxy that you vicariously lived through that worshiping process. So when you transfer that same effort and energy onto somebody who you actually know, there's going to be more of that emotional investment, which means if that relative success isn't met, it's equal to the failure of what that person would have experienced if they would have embarked on it on their own. And that's why they don't embark it on their own, because they're afraid to fail. So that's the same reason they don't want to support, because they're afraid it's going to fail and it's going to reflect back on them as a failure. Like you said, the closest people nearest and dearest to my heart, at some point, I end up realizing all that effort I was putting onto them, all those expectations I was throwing onto them, all it did was ultimately hurt them in the end. Because then they felt overcumbered by in their eyes, some unnecessary effort that literally isn't helping them in any way, shape, or form.
So you feel like it's the expectations that we had for them?
That's exactly what it is. Do you think it's not?
No, I think you're right. I think it's just that I hold myself to that standard, and so I would hold them to that standard too, but I shouldn't, right?
It's not that you shouldn't. You should hold them to the standard they're capable of holding themselves to, and then cross-reference that relative to yours and calibrate yours to that until they can catch up, essentially.
Because people can only meet you as deep as they've met themselves.
As deep as they've met themselves. Who said that quote? You're a genius. That's a good quote. I think like Rumi or one of them Indian philosophers said that. Yeah.
How have you worked around? Okay, let's say that they don't want to put in the same work and commitment that you have.
Mm-hmm.
How have you worked around with people that are close to you that have not supported you? Who you feel like haven't done enough to support you?
Two of my brothers, because my brother Adam did. Two of my brothers haven't even read my book. And I don't take any offense to that, because, bro, guess what? They don't have to read my book. They didn't even buy the book. Morgan did buy the book. Michael did buy the book. I think they did buy the book, but they didn't like read it, right? And for me, it's like, I don't give a fuck about you buying it. I want you to digest the content of that shit. No different than if I made a movie or if I made a podcast, for you to spend the time to support it, because it's something that I made. It's something somebody you love created. Right. No different than visiting like their child or something, right? It's you showing deliberate effort to support them in their creative endeavors, right?
Because we know that we would both do the same, but
but that's again how we put the expectation, because we would do it. So what was your question? How do you deal with that?
How did you work around that?
You essentially lower your expectations to zero where they can't be disappointed. So, for example, anytime I put out a podcast, I know for a fact I have 20 people that I not only consistently see weekly because of consulting, because of boxing, because of whatever. And every single time I see them, they'll mention something about like, hey, I saw you put out another clip or whatever. But there's a stark difference between those who just saw it pop up and those who actually spent the time to even watch a minute of it, right? And then there's a difference between those who decide to watch a minute of it, between those who actually invested some time to watch it, to leave a comment or a thumbs up.
Right.
It's the actual dynamic you have with the people who aren't supporting you or the people you're trying to help that don't want to get helped. Because the dynamic I have with my buddies who used to be my brothers, who I used to literally ride or die for, and I still do ride or die for, but the degree to which has varied because of the closeness of that relationship, because on average, they're not in the 5 people I surround myself with every day. So what I have to do is implement the quote you said not too long ago, which is, what was the quote you said? Something about like knowing their place. What was it? Yeah, brother, what was it? Do you remember it?
You can accept people for who they are, but you need to place them where they belong.
Yes. So how do I mitigate that, or how do I manage those expectations? I accept those closest to me for who they are, but I place them where they belong. When you said that quote, it really hit. Did you make that up or did you read that somewhere?
I saw somewhere and it resonated with me so heavily.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much how I deal with it. And I think that's, again, the getting caught in that expectation, projecting that onto others is a contributing factor to the crippling fear that stunts us from continuing embarking on those creative endeavors.
Right. I think I'm at a point where like, I just know that if I ask you one time, I can't ask you again. Because if you really wanted to, then you would. Not that quote is really black and white. If they wanted to, they would.
Right.
But if I did reach out to you and I said, hey, like, yo, I did this, I've been on my shit, like, yo, it'd be nice if you support, and you don't, then I realize that like, if you do it, it has to be because you want to, not because I asked you to.
Right.
Right.
Do you feel, at what point do you qualify that though? At what point do you qualify them doing it because they want to versus you asking them to? After the first time?
If I have to ask them multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah. And it depends what they say back to me. As like you said, if they're busy.
It's always circumstantial, right? And once you realize the justification for their lack of consideration, for their lack of support, at that point, that's where you understand where to place them. And I got so many people now that are starting to realize, I'm going to spend 20 minutes watching Pat McAfee talk about the Patriots and the Chiefs, or I'm going to spend 15 minutes watching Joe Rogan talk to Snoop Dogg about aliens and weed, instead of being able to legit spend 10 to 15 to 20 minutes watching somebody you know.
That's what bothers me, bro. Because people will buy songs from artists that don't know who they are. They'll buy clothes from people
supporting strangers, but not the people that are closest to them, that are trying to do the same shit
and asking for a discount.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole different conversation.
But keeping it superficial, just with respect to supporting celebrities and strangers versus celebrating those closest to you, I truly think it's a blissfully ignorant thing. I think people don't think about it. And I think once they finally think about it, they're more likely to click on my video, to click on your video, and to show that level of support. Once they've been exposed, they've opened that Pandora's box of the weight of their inconsideration. Because they don't realize the weight that it puts on those that they're not supporting and being inconsiderate of, which is why we take it as an insult.
Right. And I think I can tie this into why you keep asking me why I don't post on Instagram as much as I do on TikTok. And, I try to give you some kind of sly answer or whatever, but I think in reality, my ego is like, bro, all of these people on Instagram, most of them, right? And so I think for me, the fact that I post on Instagram and I know who's following me, and if I know who's interacting, who's not interacting, I think that digs deep with me a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I post on TikTok, I'm like, dude, I don't know any of these people.
The algorithm's a little sweeter.
The algorithm is nice, bro. TikTok really rewards people who uses their content, uses their platform. Because I showed you that video that I posted earlier, 1,300 views, 140 likes.
Man.
And for TikTok, it's really about consistency.
That's it. For TikTok is about consistency. How about this? For life, that's the thing. For life, it's about consistency. And I ain't even trying to I'm not a big fan of TikTok in the sense of I consult people who literally are on TikTok for 4 hours at a time, bro.
Right. But if they're on it, you should just post on it.
But that's my point is I'm not going to sit here and try to promote TikTok as this benevolent tool for entertainment, but it is a benevolent tool for content creation that teaches you the discipline of the consistency required in doing anything great and being good at anything and succeeding in anything. Businesses will fail because they don't want to get the fuck up, dust themselves off, and try to succeed. Better yet, they don't want to dust themselves off and are willing to fail again.
Gary Vee always says, eat shit.
It's the best, bro. I love being wrong. I look forward to being proven wrong so I know for a fact what's now right. Most people always want to be right. Most people are looking to be right.
The first time. They're always looking to be right the first time.
The first time, right.
I came in here with my first session. I wasn't right the first time, but I had to throw my ego out the door and realize that, like you said, embarking on anything new, you have to have that mindset that you're going to be a beginner to the game. Because unless you were set up by generational wealth and I was set up by generational wealth, we're going to have to create it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you can ask any successful person, they made it from the dirt up. You can always hear the rags to riches story. All the hours they sacrificed, all the work they put in.
The only exception I'm going to give is like Jeff Bezos came from money, Elon Musk came from money.
Right, but that's why I said if he came from generational
right,
wealth. Right, yeah.
Because the only shitty thing is but I don't know, that's the beautiful part, bro, is like, I almost wonder where certain life circumstances could have taken me if I was blessed to have been raised in a more financially free household, right? But then I truly try to qualify the offsetting qualities that would have entailed, right? And then you end up realizing you could do that level of retroactive rationale ad infinitum. I mean, you could do that till infinity. And you could do that with everything. Or what if I was a little bit taller? Or what if I was a little bit buffer? Or what if I didn't have dyslexia?
Right.
Or what if I had blonde hair? What if I didn't have curly hair? What if I?
I feel like if you had been in a better position, you just wouldn't be the person that you are today.
Right, exactly.
And if you can love and accept who you are today, you shouldn't worry about what's happened in the past.
Right.
I think on the lowest of keys, you notice that random people and strangers support you, but your friends and family don't. It's because they realize that they started in the same place that you did. I don't know how I would feel, but like if it just doesn't make sense to me that we could talk about making it in life, living lavish, living a luxurious lifestyle, but if you see me on my shit and like I'm putting in all this work and that doesn't inspire you to at least do something,
at least support,
do something.
My thing is like, if you don't have to, here's my thing, Cody, you didn't have to start becoming a content creator because you knew you could do content creating stuff after seeing me create content. You started by commenting and supporting on my stuff, and then it snowballed into you being able to do your own thing. But the effort started with you supporting. Then that effort made you realize, not only can I support, I could see myself doing this stuff also. So then you put in the extra effort to start creating the content. Then you start putting in the extra effort to learn how to edit videos and all this other savage stuff that you're now starting to reap the rewards of. You taught yourself how to edit videos in such an efficient way in such a short period of time that allowed you to learn the skills necessary to produce the content that you wanted to produce and that you're capable of producing.
Absolutely.
The strangers will support us, like you said, because they understand what little effort it actually entails to show that support.
It doesn't take that much to like a comment.
Dude, 10 seconds on Snapchat to scroll up, press the thumbs up, and if it tells you got to go to the YouTube app, I know you all got the YouTube app.
Right.
Go to the YouTube app. It's an extra 3 seconds. Thumbs up. Put some fire emojis on the comment. Like, that takes less than a minute. Less than 30 seconds. It doesn't even hurt you to subscribe to somebody and just have it on your subscription list, especially if it's somebody you know.
Especially if it's somebody that you know.
But again, I truly think, Cody, it's the lack of understanding. It's the blissful ignorance. They don't understand how inconsiderate it actually is relative to the actual effort required to be considerate. And if you can make them understand that, they are a lot more free to show that unsolicited support. But then the criticism comes to the consistency of it, right? Because then I'll have like certain people that'll comment for a week and then it'll stop once that, and then again it goes back to the effort and goes back to the want, and it's like I shouldn't have to tell you over and over and over again.
Right, because I don't feel like it's my job to make you want to support me, because if we're like that, then you should. Right. You should. Honestly, you should. I should be able to expect that from you, because I would do the exact same.
Right, but that's where the expectations come in, right? Right. And we got to mitigate those, because we can't project our strength and insecurities onto others, because they are their own unique individual. Right. We have to not only treat them, but respect them as such.
Okay, so let's say we drop those expectations, and then let's say this podcast gets popping, it starts popping off. Do you feel like those people are allowed to celebrate with you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If they didn't support you?
Yeah. Now, are they going to be celebrating in the penthouse with me while we popping bottles and shit? Word. Probably not. But like, yeah, bro, if they want to start commenting, supporting at that point, hell yeah, I love it. But that's where, again, they know their place now, right? What was the quote?
Accept them for who they are, but place them where they belong.
Right, so I accept them for who they are, but they're placed where they belong.
I didn't even understand my own quote.
Isn't that crazy? Sometimes it takes hearing a quote 1,000 times before you truly understand the depths of it. Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, Miyamoto Musashi's The Book of Five Rings, bro, like these Epictetus's The Art of Living, like these books give you nonstop anecdotes of wisdom through quotes that legit, I will highlight every sentence and sit there and digest and analyze and completely absorb one whole sentence for what it is, because it has so much wisdom that low key we don't realize and can't really appreciate until we've heard it 1,000 times. So yeah, you place them where they belong, bro.
And I guess when the time comes, it's on them to realize that their actions led to where they belong.
Literally,
right?
and then nobody can really feel bad except the yin to the yang of them the whole time knowing how much effort would it really have taken to show them love.
And had you did, you could have been up there with them.
Not only that, we could have gotten here faster, and you could have gotten here up with me faster. We could have expedited the process.
I swear, bro, people just want to wait until you're at the fucking top. They don't want to support you while you're going through it, and then they ask you how you did it when you're up there.
You want to know why? The fear of failure by proxy. They're afraid to support somebody who's going to fail, and then they think they look like a fool because they failed in supporting somebody who didn't succeed. It's the same fear of failure. Because guess what? Most people, when they follow these celebrities and they worship these strangers, they do it because they're vicariously living the successes they wish they could impose on their lives through them. So if they're going to put their support and the same effort and energy vicariously through you, the likelihood of you failing seems higher, because what? You're seen least as a prophet because you're closest to the home. So they go, oh my goodness, this Aubrey Graham guy who was in Degrassi, like, I don't know him, but I remember he was in Degrassi. Let me hear this song. They're least associated personally with who he is because they don't know him personally. So they're able to celebrate whatever creative genius they embark on without the fear of failure because they're already successful.
Oh, so there's no like emotional attachment to them, right? There's no emotional attachment. Because if they succeed, they do. If they don't, they don't. Because you don't know them.
They don't know them. And at that point, it's like, it's easier to dismiss that failure vicarious or by proxy that you vicariously lived through that worshiping process. So when you transfer that same effort and energy onto somebody who you actually know, there's going to be more of that emotional investment, which means if that relative success isn't met, it's equal to the failure of what that person would have experienced if they would have embarked on it on their own. And that's why they don't embark it on their own, because they're afraid to fail. So that's the same reason they don't want to support, because they're afraid it's going to fail and it's going to reflect back on them as a failure.
We got to stop being afraid of failing.
That's it.
Ask any successful person if they failed in their life. They'll tell you 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times.
That's why I say I love being wrong, because when you're wrong, you literally failed in being right. And you thought you were right, but guess what? You were wrong. Now guess what that means? You got to correct it and learn from that loss to where you now know better. And you can't have that foundational way of thinking if you're afraid to fail. You're afraid to look silly. You're afraid to look stupid. And when we started boxing, it was the first thing we said. Get over all those insecurities.
Right.
We're manifesting that shit, because over time, it'll become second nature. but it won't be unless you allow yourself the possibility of failure.
What did they say? A man who asks is only a fool for a second. A man who doesn't ask is a fool forever.
Yeah. I think that was Confucius. Mm-hmm.
I think I'm at a point where I feel like I've been really putting in the work. Life has been on go mode, and I have a lot of support from people that, really support me now. And so I just feel like it's not a matter of if now, it's a matter of when, right? You have to be that confident it's a matter of when.
Right.
And so whenever we're up here, I just don't feel like the people that didn't support you should be able to eat at the same table as you. I want you to eat,
right,
just not with me.
Here's the thing: you're gonna eat at the same table as me, but it's gonna be like
we eat different foods, right?
Well, it's just gonna be a ballroom of a bunch of different tables, and you're gonna know your place way down yonder. That's all. It's like we're not gonna be in the same vicinity because your place has been relative to the effort in the journey and the come up of this success story. And if you didn't want to show little support, like liking a video or commenting or sharing something, it's like, do you deserve to be in VIP?
No, you don't. You really don't.
That's some Judas Iscariot shit if you think you do. That's stabbing a motherfucker in the back, not earning some shit if you think you do. And then you end up realizing, what do I lose showing minor support? What do I actually lose spending a minute to support somebody that I actually know?
Hating is so corny, bro.
And the thing is, bro, I think it's least about hating, and it's more about, I think hating is cool because it's still like, there's no such thing as bad attention, right? So hating is bad attention. And plus hating gives you the criticism to learn from, right?
True.
But the lack of effort from the people that you're talking about that know you're putting in the work, like that's where I think it's more worthy of associating, almost like hating is so corny. I think inconsideration and lack of minuscule support is corny as fuck. Hating, though, is like, hey, at least you were watching my shit.
Right.
I don't know, bro. At this point, are you starting to reconcile with the feelings of near resentment towards those who don't show you the same level of consideration you would otherwise show them?
I'm starting to accept it. I'm starting to realize that I can't make anyone do anything. I can't force anyone to do anything. I can't fight for you to see my value.
Right.
That's why I said real, recognize real. You come in here every day and you tell me, bro, you have the ability to be great. Go put out some content. Go do some shit. Because you see that in me and because you have the awareness to recognize where greatness lies. And at this point, I just realized if you got it, you got it. If you don't, you don't.
Right. How much effort do you think that takes me to be able to hype you up like that?
Little. Even if you didn't truly believe it, at least the intention was there.
And the thing is, but that's where deep down, if you were wasting time putting out garbage content, I would be honest with you and I'd be like, hey, bro, look, like you're getting 6 views per TikTok, bro. Yeah. Look at this editing. Cody, I should beat your ass. Look at this editing, bro. What is this? Did you make this on Windows Movie Maker?
Microsoft PowerPoint?
Right. I'll be honest with you, bro. Like, I respect the hustle. I respect the fact you're putting in time to do this. But you're way too smart to be wasting time doing shit like this.
Right.
In fact, whatever you're trying to do on this content shit, you can outsource that to me so you don't have to waste time doing legit wasteful shit because you're not really getting anything from this.
Right.
But if I saw you doing that for a year and you progressively got better every time, even through my criticism, at some point I have to not only respect the hustle and the grind, but the byproduct of the genius and skill you developed from that consistency.
Right. And I do take everything that you say with a grain of salt, because I remember it came in on Tuesday and you're like, hey, let me watch that clip. And you said I should do this, this, or this. And low key, I was like, I got you, bro. But I think I'm gonna keep posting how I want to. And I respect the criticism. I really do.
But didn't mean you had to take it?
I didn't have to take it, right.
If anything, you did take in the criticism by recognizing it reassured your original stance.
And then that TikTok, it kind of blew up, right? 1,300 views, 140
That was the
likes.
one that I criticized?
That's the one that you criticized. I was like,
would have went viral if you did.
Yeah, bro, you were like, cut, take it all to silence. I was like, bro, that kind of takes away from the feel from how I want it.
Exactly.
And honestly, it just comes down to finding my formula, finding what works for me. And I think people are afraid of going through trial and error to find what works for them.
The fear of failure stops them from going through the trials and errors that end up allowing them to find their formula. Yeah, bro, it's crazy. We have our lives are too fucking easy nowadays. We're soft. And so people don't face adversity, which means they don't overcome shit. And if they don't overcome shit, they don't understand their worth and the fruitfulness of their life and how fulfilling their life could be.
Right.
So they truly just don't know. That's why I say it's nearly blissful ignorance, because they truly just don't know. But once they become aware, once that box is open, watch the fuck out, because at that point, I'm keeping you accountable.